Hello, in this video I'm gonna tell you how to configure and set up your Altera DE2-115 development and education board. But first, let's have a little demonstration. This is my board. It sits right in front of me. As you can see, hopefully, it is connected to the DC power and my laptop computer via the Altera USB-Blaster link. So now I am going to apply power to the board, and the LEDs started blinking. The 7 segment indicators are cycling in the hexadecimal notation from 0 to F, and we have even a welcome message on LCD. This is the so-called factory default state. In this state, the board was shipped from factory. What I'm going to do now is to reprogram the board and run on it the infamous control panel utility. First, I click this batch file. Let's stop blinking. It takes a few seconds to download the bitstream into the board, and the programming was successful. 0 errors, 0 warning. Now we can do something with the board by running the control panel utility itself. So the utility is operational. I can unlight all LEDs now, and even reprogram LCD. As you can see, right now LCD is empty, right? If I click set, we have the same message on LCD DE2-115 control panel. Should I type something here and click set again, the message changed accordingly. So the board is operating normally. And now I'm gonna close the control panel and tell you how I was able to achieve this astonishing result. I tend to take screenshots whenever I install new unfamiliar software. So now I am able to take you throughout the whole process, to tell you the whole story in pictures. It all started with the power on test after I unpacked the board. I connected it to the DC power, and then I simply switched power on and got the same situation as you saw it a few minutes ago. Blinking LEDs, cycling 7 segment indicators, and the welcome message on my LCD. Since I connected the board to my monitor through VGA port, I was also able to see the color picture. So the board was operating normally. So I decided to continue with the software installation. Before doing that, I of course created a restoration point. I do this every time without exception whenever I'm about to install something new and unfamiliar. So I created this restoration point, inserted the DVD that came with the board inside the package. So this message, install free package, and decided to go with it. Clicked next, and the installation started. I accepted all suggested values, didn't change anything. These check marks were already in place for me, but then I noticed something strange. I had actually over 400 gigabytes of free space on my hard disk. Apparently, this installer was unable to recognize this free space. I was told afterwards that's because of my Russian language operating system. You see, we use a decimal comma in place of a decimal point. So the installer, the original installer, was unable to decipher it. And the program refused to install. I couldn't solve this problem for 3 hours and then decided, since the program itself was too old, almost 8 years old, I decided to abandon it and download a more recent version. I went to Altera.com site and found there is the most recent version of a Quartus Prime software. It's 17.1 at the moment. Downloaded the entire Prime Lite edition package, which consisted of 2 huge files. And because the board has the Cyclone 4 chip on it, I also downloaded the Cyclone 4 device support file. 3 files in total, not counting documentation and additional software. And then I again created a restoration point, because I actually rolled back before that when I decided to abandon the previous installation, which was version 10.0. Created a new restoration point, proceeded with installation. It completed successfully. And then, since I asked to launch USB-Blaster driver installation automatically, it started and finished apparently successfully because of this green checkmark. I copied the control panel related files from the DVD to my hard disk, exactly as was explained somewhere down here in the user's manual, in the user's guide, I think. Double-clicked control panel and got this. This DLL was missing. After several hours of all sorts of attempts to resolve the problem, I went to Terasic.com site and actually was able to find a solution which worked. The procedure is described in this PDF file, a link to which you will get in the description section to this video as well. So this is the situation up to that point regarding the restoration points. See, that was initial restoration point before I ran the 10.0 version. During the installation, 2 packages, Visual C++ distributables, were installed, and finally Altera USB-Blaster drive was also installed. However, it didn't work, so I rolled back again, downloaded Quartus Prime 16.1 version, created another restoration point, proceeded with the installation. This is where I got 16.1 files. 16.1. Double-clicked the installer. I was simply following the steps described in the user's guide. Installation started again. I accepted a suggested value. Check marks were already in place. I didn't click anything. And installation proceeded successfully. I got the same screen, and I didn't change anything. Again, this check mark was in place. However, later on I realized that I made a slight mistake here. You see, there was this problem. I saw this problem twice. After installation, the Quartus Prime Lite edition software was launched automatically, and you know, its user's graphical interface was invisible. Yes, the program was running inside the operating system, but it was invisible. So a little bit perplexed, I double-clicked my Quartus Prime software again, and I got this conflict. So I went to the task manager and saw that I have two instances of the same Quartus running on my system. I had to kill the first process, and you realize, of course, that killing a process can really mess up your system. But I didn't know that at the time, so I had this little problem. Maybe you shouldn't check mark this box. Keep it clear. That's my suggestion for you. Anyhow, driver installation proceeded again. Asked for confirmation as before, and everything was finished successfully. This inscription says ready to operate. So apparently on the surface the driver was installed successfully. I was following the procedure described in the PDF document I showed you a few minutes ago. Here, let's look at it. This is the document. I was just following the steps described in this PDF file. They told me to check if I have all the components installed successfully. So I clicked Start button. All components were apparently in place. And this is how my restoration points hierarchy looked like at the moment. Up to now, it was about Altera 17.1. I rolled back because it didn't work out. Created another restoration point for 16.1, installed the whole package, including the driver, and then I encountered another problem, because of which I had to update or reinstall the driver, the same driver, manually. Why and how I did it, I'll show you right now. The PDF file suggests that you should go to your device manager and make sure that you have the driver installed successfully. Well, it wasn't in my case. This device has not been recognized. At this point, I decided to install the driver manually by right-clicking it, selecting properties, and then update. As a matter of fact, this procedure is described in this document on altera.com site. Anyways, I did it what was expected of me. However, before running the installation or update itself, I decided to switch on the board, because during the last attempt the board was switched powered down, and I kept the board powered on throughout the entire installation process. This time installation proceeded and finished successfully. After that I went to device manager again and saw the driver was indeed installed successfully. The device is operating normally. Nice. I am reminding you here that I was simply following the steps described in this PDF file. So this is the PDF file, and if we go down we can see that they suggest that we place or make sure that we have these variables set in two places, which is of course redundant. So I didn't do it, simply because we have those variables set as system variables. There is no need whatsoever to write the same values here for the current user, because they already are available to the entire system regardless of who is using the machine at the moment. So I did not do it because it was absolutely redundant. It's quite obvious. And then I ran the same control utility again, and it failed on me again. So I proceeded further. They said, go and download this archive and put it in your Quartus folder. So I did it and copied those files to this Quartus folder. But the control panel utility did not work again. I even checked the communication link by running jtag config, and everything was apparently working just nice. The board was recognized because I saw the same letters and numbers on my cardboard box on the package. Looks like a serial number or something. So everything was just working and connected quite properly, but the control panel utility did not work. And finally, in the PDF file, they say copy all control panel utility related files to this folder, which is actually a mistake. They made a little error here. I will show you right now. In picture we can see quite clearly that those files should be placed inside the bin32 subfolder of the Quartus folder, and I wrote it down in the PDF file itself as a reminder. So copy those files to this subfolder bin32, not the Quartus folder. Alright, after doing that I read the sentence, manually download SOF file. Being a total newbie, I couldn't understand what that meant. So after googling, I finally realized that they were talking about reprogramming the board itself by downloading the bitstream configuration file by using Quartus Prime software. So I double-clicked my Quartus Prime, and in the Tools section I clicked the Programmer option and saw immediately that no hardware was recognized by the program, no hardware was connected. clicked hardware setup, selected available option from this drop-down menu. It was USB-Blaster channel USB 0. The hardware was apparently recognized or connected, and I started adding the configuration bitstream file, which is located here in bin32 subfolder of Quartus. I selected this file and pressed start, at which point the program failed again. Yes, this is a strange bug. It happens every single time after the board was powered down. You see, when you freshly connect your board to your computer after powering off, this download of the bit stream into the board fails every single time without exception. So you just keep on doing it, just click again and it's gonna be alright. So I clicked again without doing anything else, just clicked it again, and that time download proceeded successfully, and after that I clicked control panel utility and it appeared on my screen. So, emboldened by this success, I decided to perform a little experiment. Copied all demonstration and utility related files from my DVD to my hard disk, found the default batch file, looked into it, and saw immediately that the path to this program was incorrect because the package was too old, 8 years old. Now we have bin64 folder that contains the necessary executable. Before that, 8 years ago, it was just bin, and that's it. So I simply corrected the value, made sure that I have the correct bitstream file, the configuration file, double-clicked batch file, and was presented with this screen. The board was reprogrammed again into the factory default state with 0 errors and 0 warnings, and after that I ran the panel utility again successfully this time as well. So this is it, and if you have any questions, please write them in the comment section of this video. Happy hacking!